screen. Okay, got it. So you should be seeing my presentation now. Can you confirm me that? Okay, thank you, Temis. And welcome to this KITT4SME webinar. So today we are going to try to provide you all the informations that you need to join our incoming, upcoming, and open call. So this webinar from the project is dedicated to AI developing companies that want to join our consortium via the funding mechanism that we are going to offer. And today we will, especially in this presentation, then we will have all of the other valuable speakers from the consortium adding to my presentation. I will try to convey you the basic concept of what is this KITT4SME project, and most importantly, how can you benefit via the open calls mechanism, but also as a platform once it is established. I'm Andrea Bettoni. I'm the project coordinator of KITT4SME. I work for the University of Applied Sciences and Arts of Southern Switzerland, and I will go quite rapidly through the project concept. So, okay, it's working. So, KITT4SME is a European project funded by the Horizon 2020 program of the European Commission, and it's part of the I4MS program, a program that wants to bring ICT innovation to small and medium enterprises. So KITT4SME, in this sense, is dedicated to providing these SMEs with access to packages based on artificial intelligence, which is obviously a growing trend. But when it comes to SMEs, there are a lot of barriers that are necessary to cope with in order to provide solutions that they can actually join. So the idea with KITT4SME is to create a platform of modules that can be customized together to get to SMEs a package that is specific to their needs. Is not the widest package possible that they have to pay a lot for. It is something that solves specific issues, that can give them a real quick update, that can create easy wins in the short time, so that this doesn't become a failure but a success story they can leverage on to produce even more benefits for them. So in these terms, KITT4SME is a multi-sided platform. So on the one hand, we have the SMEs in the manufacturing sector that wants to use artificial intelligence, and on the other side of the platform, we have you, the AI developers, that can use our platform to reach more customers. And how do we do that? So basically, we are leveraging a group of digital innovation hubs that we have in the consortium, and that are the people that have gotten in contact with you to promote, for example, this open call. So the idea is that we have organization that support the uptake of these new technologies at regional level, so that we can be close to the SMEs that want to use these solutions, but also we can be close to the AI developers that want to expand the platform by integrating their own solution inside our platform. So looking at how this is born, we basically have this digital innovation hub that speaks the same language of these companies, because we're talking about SMEs, we're not talking about big companies, we're talking with companies that need to have a local support to their activity, especially when it comes to new technologies they don't have the competencies for, and they basically just have heard something about, and they need to understand with the local support how they can translate it into benefit for their business. Upon these regional digital innovation hubs, we have also other ecosystem. One is SUPSI, for example, but we have clusters like the KITT in Emilia-Romagna or WT in Poland. We have obviously already within the project consortium, we are testing with the SMEs how our platform can support them in uptaking artificial intelligence for their own purposes. So part of what you will see in the open calls is already taking place at some SMEs in the consortium. And we have inside the consortium experts of AI development located throughout Europe, who are making the first population of the KITT4SME platform. Finally, we have an infrastructure. How can you connect technically, not only at a business level, AI solutions provided by multi-vendor system, basically relying on every AI developers in Europe, and the SMEs who want to join that. You need to create an infrastructure, a platform. You need to take care of all the data sources for populating the AI models. You need to create infrastructure for data brokering, curation, storage, all this kind of stuff. And you see later on in the presentation from Andrea Falconi of Martel how we are creating a platform infrastructure that can support these needs. Okay, and these are just the countries that we are currently representing within the consortium, but obviously with the open calls, we want to enlarge our offer, we want to enlarge our reach throughout all the countries in Europe. So you will see here the eligibility criteria for applying to the open calls, but the idea is to go even wider in this landscape. So now what is the benefit? So we have talked a lot about this process, about how to bring AI solutions to a company. What's the benefit for an AI developing companies in being part of KITT4SME? So basically we have, okay, here we have the short story of how AI development and application works. So you got a very interesting part that is the creation of an artificial intelligence model. But then, and this is where most of the value is created, but then there are a few steps that are still really necessary, because if you want to bring that model to actual usage at the client company, you need to involve sometimes other IT systems to make it available, deploy it, and make it usable for the client company. And sometimes this is where AI companies really struggle on. So basically, this is the pipeline that you have when you are trying to, from the very beginning, to prepare the data, develop a model, make a package, validate that the model is properly solving the issue, the phenomenon that you are addressing, deploy the model, and use it at the customer. So this is where most of the value is created. This is where data scientists and developers of artificial intelligence modules are really good at, and this is what they want to do, and this is let's say what it makes 90% of the whole value of your solution. But then if the pipeline is not over, you're not yet at the end of the story, so you need to put it together, validate it, deploy it. This is maybe more boring, but it still requires a lot of efficiency, because once you have the model, competition may also have a model. So you need to get to your customer before someone else does it. And this is still a part that you need to work on. And finally, this is the part that the user sees. This is where perception of the value is actually created. So this is not only how good your model is, this is how strong and reliable the way you provide it is. Especially if the AI model is, let's say, driving very important processes and that cannot fail, you need to be reliable and available as a success factor for your client to perceive you as someone who they want to partner with. So this is mostly where KITT4SME supports these phases that are outside somehow the value creation, but they are still really necessary to bring your solution to market maturity. So yeah, basically this is where your artificial intelligence developers and data scientists are not good at. They don't need anymore to worry about, because KITT4SME is supporting these phases. So let's see how. So first of all, in the packaging of the module, we are going to give you all the instructions, all the specifications to manage your module, to make it interoperable with the other modules that we have in the KITT4SME platform, because this is one of the added value that we offer. Interoperability with other solutions that we have inside the platform, some of which are already being tested within the project consortium. And as Andrea will better present later on, we're going to give you all the specification for connecting to our platform that is based on the FireWare implementation. In terms of validation of the module, we have already some simulation environments where you have data simulator, you can test with data, you can receive support in terms of procedures that you need to apply for the validation. But we're going to create even more based on your requirements. So this is still a work in progress. We are a project we started 1 year ago. We have a first platform that can evolve based also on the early users. So the opportunity of being here first with the open call, besides the funding, obviously, is also to steer the development of these engines and environments towards your needs. And finally, obviously, we have a hosting environment for the already deployed module, for the modules to be deployed so that they can be made accessible for the users. And this is one of the questions that we get all the time. We get in contact with the AI developers. Obviously, we give you a scalable and reliable environment, because when you want to reach your customer and you have an intermediary in between, you need to make sure that this intermediary is going to offer you something stable, something that your client will not complain about. Obviously, we have also, this will be presented in detail later, a security layer that allows your the access to the solutions to be well managed, and we will also talk about how licensing and support is provided throughout the evolution of the solution that you bring to the platform. Okay, we basically skip this part, how you can prepare a model, how you can develop a model, because as we will see in today's webinar, we expect AI developers to bring already solutions that have a certain TRL. But yet we're still going to provide you support, especially in preparing models that can really fit with the solution that we have in KITT4SME. So we're going to give you all what is necessary to develop the solution in terms of specifications, digital data sheets to characterize your solution, so that when it is made available on the marketplace, it is clear how it works and how it can interact with other solutions. And we give you all the platform APIs and software development kit, so that you can really make it interoperable with the other solutions through the common data models that are developed within KITT4SME. Finally, okay, last but not the least, we have a RAM marketplace. This is also giving consistency and industrial reliability of the whole solution, because RAMP is a marketplace that has been born a few years ago, and it is already being used by a vast community of users throughout many of the I4MS projects that have been running during the last 2 phases of this program, but also it is transitioning into a commercially viable solution that can stand on its own. So this is a guarantee that what you bring here, okay, first of all, we'll talk about ownership. It remains under your ownership, but it still can rely on a solid marketplace that has already been used by many other solution developers out there. So now I'm giving the floor to Andrea Falconi from Martel. We'll dig deep into the technical aspect. So thank you again for having joined this webinar, and let's move to the next steps.
Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. Can you guys hear me, Andrea?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, developer time. Yeah, let's get our hands dirty. Hope you brought buckets and spades. Joking aside, I reckon Andrea made it quite plain from the get-go to the go-live. AI projects typically need a robust software infrastructure to succeed, from sourcing the data to train your model to run your AI up in production. Well, to make it happen, you need some other software over and above the AI you're developing. In other words, if you liken your app to a brain, well, at the end of the day, you're still going to need a buddy to interact with the world and do useful things. Our idea here is that you bring the brain and we'll plunk it down into your buddy. In fact, after you've done all the clever and exciting AI modeling, there's still loads of donkey work ahead of you. For example, how should the app exchange data with the shop floor? Well, how to secure communication among services? Oh yeah, well, I'm also going to need to, the deployment pipeline to go to production. And by the way, how am I going to make my app scale to handle load spikes? And who's going to manage the production environment? Customers, anyone? How should we sell the app? And the list goes on, oh lordy lord. What to do then? Well, one option is to let someone else take care of all that for you. Well, Brainiac, ladies and gentlemen, this is drum roll. Well, the doctor buddy we can provide the A-brain with. The KITT4SME cloud platform and the RAMP marketplace. That is, surely we don't expect this to be everyone's cup of tea. So in this talk, I'll give you a not so technical overview of the platform, explaining how all the bits and pieces in the visual you're looking at fit together. Star lunar orbit kind of thing, but hopefully enough for you to get a rough idea if the platform could actually be any useful to you and how you might go about integrating your software. Then at the end of the talk, I'll give you some pointers to find out more about the technology. Also, I won't say much about RAMP since that's the topic of the next talk, so stay tuned. So what we're busy developing is a service mesh multi-tenant cloud to assemble AI components from a marketplace into a tailor-made service offering for a factory, connecting to the shop floor, and enable them to store and exchange data in an interoperable, secure, privacy-preserving, and scalable way. Obviously, it would be kind of foolish to build all that from scratch, so we are leveraging state-of-the-art technology to do the heavy lifting for us, using Kubernetes and Istio to provide the service mesh infrastructure. Fireware is the Internet of Things backbone, and RAMP is our marketplace. And here's our gang of four, that's how our gang of four, Kubernetes, Istio, Fireware, and RAMP fit in the platform picture. That's the parts highlighted in orange. We can see Kubernetes and Istio make up the KITT4SME mesh infra between the hardware and the platform services proper. This is basically cluster software to orchestrate the deployment and operation of services and provides a uniform programmable interface to computational resources like CPU, memory, and storage, across all the hardware nodes. Also, the mesh infra gives us a programmable interface to manage, secure, and observe service traffic independently of services, as I'm going to touch on this later on. On the other hand, the Fireware stack runs on top of the mesh infrastructure. So context broker, agents, NGSI, time series, as well as the backend databases are some of the KITT4SME mesh services. Well, if you're not familiar with Fireware, all these names are probably meaningless to you. But basically, Fireware is an open source platform to build Internet of Things applications. It comes with the building blocks to collect data from the shop floor and create a digital representation of it. Thank digital twins, excuse me, which you can then query and manipulate to control physical devices in a factory, like stopping a conveyor belt, for example. And what else? Well, the top right corner of the diagram shows the KITT4SME AI services being available to customers in the RAMP platform. In fact, RAMP is a digital marketplace where smart industry solution providers like you can offer their software to manufacturing industry customers. Well, it's actually much more than that, and you hear about it in the next talk. So let's move on to the platform services. Well, KITT4SME, the KITT4SME platform is made up of loosely coupled web services. Most of them run in a cluster environment, as we've seen already, but occasionally, for the sake of performance and reliability, some services might run on premises at the factory, even though ideally, they still get integrated in the rest of the platform through the mesh infrastructure. In any case, a service is a distinct part of the platform that provides some functionality through a set of software processes and data stores. Typically, a service manages immediate access to a collection of related resources, presenting their functionality to users and other services. And what else? Well, obviously API encapsulates service implementation and govern service interactions, whereas policies control service access and usage. So this is pretty much standard stuff that you're probably familiar with. And as you can see from the diagram, broadly speaking, there are two kinds of KITT4SME platform services. We've got application services are an integral part of the KITT4SME workflow. For example, well, let's say an anomaly detection service or a KPI dashboard. And we also have infrastructure services that support the operation of application services, like the services in the firewall middleware I talked about earlier, or AI frameworks like TensorFlow. Now, if you ever use Google or AWS managed services, the arrangement is pretty much the same. You bring the AI components, that is the application services providing business value to the manufacturing industry, whereas the KITT4SME platform manages the general purpose infrastructure services the components rely on. Well, obviously it goes without saying, for the platform to be able to run your services smoothly, there is some basic requirements your services should meet. Specifically, we expect most services to expose their functionality through web interfaces in accordance with the representational state transfer architectural style, which is quite a mouthful. So, I call it REST for short. Hopefully, this is not an unreasonable expectation in this day and age when web technology has become a staple in the lives of so many developers. Anyway, to rehash what most of you usually know quite well, a REST service makes its data available as a web resource, over HTTP. Each resource is identified by a unique resource locator, that is a URL. The service provides its functionality to clients only through basic create, read, and updates and delete operations on those resources. So clients have a uniform mechanism to invoke operations on resources across all services. Also, server-client communication should be stateless. If your services play by the rules, then the platform can sneakily insert proxies in between services to provide extra functionality like caching, security, load balancing, and monitoring, to name a few. These extra features basically come for free for you, in a sense that they are implemented within the platform mesh infrastructure independently of platform services. So as a service developer, you don't have to worry about most of the operational concerns and can focus on implementing service-specific features. And if you look at the sketch here, the dashed orange arrows in the visual represent the virtual HTTP communication among platform services, whereas the actual messages travel through the solid lines, an intersection network. The platform sneakily sets up So proxies can process those messages and enhance the overall quality of service without the communication parties knowing anything about it. You could probably, say ignorance is bliss in this case. Now, I should quickly mention that besides well-known web standards, KITT4SME also embraces the NGSI standard to develop ontologies for IoT data. NGSI is the language Firewall speaks, so your services will typically interact with the shop floor through NGSI APIs. We're working on standard data models to tackle the variation in type and nature of IoT data. So, we're going to be able to provide a homogeneous view of the data which platform services can then process in a uniform way. Okay. And what else? Well, I think this slide, I already covered much of the content, but in fact, thanks to the intersection network I mentioned earlier, the mesh infrastructure can provide services with lots of extra functionality, namely traffic management like routing and load balancing, security like access control and mutual TLS, observability like capturing message flows and monitoring performance, and high availability through scaling, enhanced performance, and automatic recovery from failure. Another key feature of the KITT4SME platform is the multi-tenancy approach, whereby many manufacturing companies share the same cloud. Each company gets its own security protection domain, known as the platform tenant. So their data and users are isolated from the tenant's data, from other tenants' data and users. Surely controlled sharing of users and data among tenants is still possible, but it has to be arranged explicitly through security ensuring policies agreed on by all the involved parties. Tenants also share platform computing resources and infrastructure services in a controlled way. Computing resources like CPU, memory, storage, and network, they all get shared through quotas of the same underlying physical and virtual computing facility. Plus, the platform can reassign computing resources dynamically depending on tenant demand. Finally, tenants also get to share the same instance of the platform infrastructure services. There's the firewall middleware, backend databases, and so on. And here we can see two companies, aptly named manufacturing smithereens. Sorry for the sixth agreement. Well, anyway, we see two companies here sharing the same KITT4SME platform instance. Each company has its own AI kit, but all the kits share the same computing resources, mesh infrastructure, and platform infrastructure services. But why all this sharing, you may ask? Pooling of computing resources and sharing of infrastructure services is one way to slash computational and operational costs. As a platform provider, you basically spread service processing overhead, hardware, and IT ops costs over many tenants. Plus, resource allocation among many tenants avoids system underutilization, which in turn drives down overall service cost per hour. On top of that, if you have many tenants, you can afford to build them for services and computing infrastructure on a per usage basis instead of locking them into set recurring payments. In principle, these cost savings coupled with pay-as-you-go pricing strategies should make KITT4SME services affordable even to small manufacturing companies on a budget. Well, at least we hope. Earlier on, I said, ideally, the services you bring to the party should be RESTful services. Another thing we need you to do is to release your services as container images, like Docker images. This way, we can easily publish them in the marketplace and then automate the deployment process from the marketplace. In fact, we're busy implementing an AI-backed workflow where the platform asks a business owner questions about their factory in order to assemble a company profile with their needs and opportunities for improvement. Then the platform recommends a set of services in the RAM marketplace based on that profile. This is the AI service kit that should help steer the factory towards the desired goals. If the business owner agrees to go live with that kit, the platform deploys it automatically to the cloud. And this happens through a DevOps pipeline where deployment instructions get written to a Git repository, monitored by an infrastructure as a code service that reconciles the wanted deployment state declared in the Git repo with the actual state of the cluster. I bet you most of you are familiar with that kind of setup. To wrap up, how should you go about developing your KITT4SME service? Well, obviously, it goes without saying you can use the best technology stack for your service. We can accommodate different programming languages, frameworks, databases, and so on. Of course, like I said earlier, we ask you to hide all these implementation details behind a clean REST API, and to interact with the shop floor using the NGSI standard, which is like I said earlier, the standard implemented by Fireware. And then you should package your service using Docker images. So like I said, you can have an easy time automating the release process as well as the upgrade process for platform services. And then, of course, you should stick to the RAMP guidelines, which is the topic of the next talk. And I think that'll be all. So.
Thank you, Andrea.
I did too quickly. I think I had more time, I suppose. I just had to fly through the slides just in case,
Yeah, Andrea. Thank you, thank you, Andrea Bettoni, and thank you, Andrea Falconi, for the very nicely crafted slides. I need to tell that I'm a big fan of project presentations. That is not telling the boring parts of we are this much of partners and we are a project of this much of million euros, but instead to the point. And I'm a big fan of the big skeleton slide. I have to say that I'm a big fan of it personally, and your handwritings, the images that you have created with your hand. I mean, thank you very much for the beautiful information and slides. So we are going to move on to the next presentation. Now we are at the third session of the meeting, which is open calls introduction. Mr. Temis Kolivas from European Dynamics is going to make the presentation, is going to deliver you very important information about how you can apply to the open calls and how you can use the previous information that Andrea Bettoni has given you with the project, and Andrea Falconi given you with how you can integrate your solution to the KITT4SME platform. So Temis, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Zeki. So good morning from my side. I'm Temis Kolivas. I come from European Dynamics, and within KITT4SME, we are coordinating the open calls. I would like to say just a couple of words of why we're launching the open calls and what we intend to do with it. So as Andrea described in the first presentation, we're developing a platform. We call it KITT4SME platform. And our main intention is to extend these services that are deployed through this platform. And these are intended to be solutions for the manufacturing software. So we launch two open calls. We call them Type A and Type B. And the Type A, the first round of the open calls, is primarily targeting solution providers. And by solution providers, we mean SMEs and mid-caps that have some software solutions for the manufacturing industry. Sorry, now I saw a question on the chat about the definition of the mid-caps and the SMEs. I must say that we follow all the rules that are applicable for the European Union. And I must, there are some, let me say that I went online and I saw that there are some definitions that are about the maximum amount of employees and also about the turnover, the yearly turnover. So we need to clarify this. I mean, I will post an answer on the frequently asked questions on our website, clarifying this issue. Sorry, so to move on, I must say that we have 2 rounds of open calls, the first round and the second round. So for the second round of the open calls, we will launch it in 2022, so it will be next year. And the idea there is to have small teams of both solution providers and end users so that the solution providers can deploy their application and the infrastructure of the end users and validate and test the performance. So now, why we extend this invitation to you? It is because primarily we think that there are 2 communication channels that you can exploit. One of them is the umbrella of the projects called I4MS, and the next one is the RAMP Marketplace. So I4MS is an umbrella of a family, let's say, of sister projects, which all deal with digital innovation and have some proposition for the manufacturing SMEs in Europe. They have already engaged in a series of activities for dissemination, and by joining us, you will gain exposure through this channel as well. Now, the marketplace RAMP is about robotics and automation and has been evolving for several years now, but Ali will have more to say about it in the next presentation. So, as Andrea Falconi already mentioned, we will ask you to interface, to integrate your solution to the KITT4SME platform. And through this activity, we will support you, at least from the side that connects to our platform. So if you engage in this activity, you will also gain some know-how on interfacing your solution to Fiverr-based platforms. And of course, gain some funding in the process of integration and hopefully also validation of your platform through some experiments. Just to go a little bit briefly about what it is in it for us. I mean, just to see our perspective and what we intend to do. So the first one is to demonstrate that our technical platform can scale up and include more and more solutions. And the second main objective is to support the business objective of the project, which is to create a link between the solution providers, so the technical guys, and the end users. So hopefully via the open calls, we will have the chance to increase the number of propositions and be in a better position to address some challenges that are currently existing in the industry. So these are the 3 main axes on which our project is based on. They are all using artificial intelligence in its core. So this is something that we need from your side as well. We primarily see 3 application areas, and by C I mean that we already developed some solutions that face these 3 application areas. The first one is quality control, and essentially we're talking about error detection in the production line. The second one is reconfiguration of the production process, and this is primarily motivated because of the product personalization, customization, that is also a trend in the industry in the last years. And the third one is about human-machine interaction, which could be a collaboration between a human worker in the field and a cobot, as an example, or the use of IoT technology to record some health indicators, let's say, or some stress levels of human workers in the field. So within the project, we developed some applications that are categorized in one of these 3 areas. And we have created this map so that we can show you a little bit more of what we mean behind each of these categories. Of course, we understand that some of the ideas that you may have can be very close to the solutions and to the applications that we develop within the project. You can find more about these applications in the guide for applicants. We will also have more information about it on the website. But you can also test some of your ideas by sending us an email or by using the abstract submission form. We will talk about it in a couple of slides. One thing that I wanted to point out is that we, of course, encourage applications that extend the functionalities of the existing tools. But we would also like to avoid, as far as possible, overlaps or the delivery of the same functionality from open calls as well. So to describe a little bit the scope of the solutions that we expect from your side, these solutions need to have artificial intelligence in their core. They must address a problem from the manufacturing field. Their focus could be on one of the three project axes, as we talked about it in the previous slide, but because this is what KITT4SME is working on primarily. We do consider, though, other manufacturing areas, problems in other manufacturing fields, let's say, but in this case, we will need your support to make the connection between what you describe as a proposal, as an idea, and what we have as a project objective. And as I said, we also encourage the participation of solutions that add some functionality, add some value to the existing functions of the solutions that we develop. So to go very briefly about how we approach this evaluation, we use a standard approach for EU projects. We have three main areas. One is the excellence part, the next one is the impact part, and the third one is the implementation. So to talk a little bit about the excellence part, we want to see how your solutions go beyond the state of the art in terms of AI, if so, how relevant they are to the project and to the challenges in manufacturing. And because we want these solutions to be offered towards the end users, probably via the marketplace, the RAMP marketplace, we want them to be as mature as possible. So we need to have solutions that are from TRL5 and above. Now, moving on to impact, we want to see your view of how the potential end users will see these solutions, how attractive they could be, what their value could be for the shop floor, how easily it could be for them, for these solutions to scale up. And by scale up, we mean to accept an increased volume of data, to be deployed in multiple instances, let's say, or from the side of the end users, how difficult or easy it would be for them to sustain these solutions in their production facilities. So essentially, we're talking about cost, or we would like to know of any restrictions that apply to your solution, perhaps about the nature or the type of the data that you are using. About implementation, so we envision that your projects will last approximately 12 months, and that you will need to carry out some technical activities in order to adapt your solutions to bring them closer to what we need for the KITT4SME platform. So we need from you to develop a work plan and break down this work in recognizable, identifiable, let's say, steps. For each of these steps, of course, we will have some interaction along this 12 months period. And of course, in order to understand your capacity to deliver on the promised idea, we need to have some information from your side on the team composition, on the steps that you need to take in order to proceed with this integration activity. And I also want to talk a little bit about validation. So validation is an optional step for us. Let me just say that the validation is defined as the process of verifying the performance of your solution with real-life data, and hopefully also in a real-life context. This is optional, but we think that this could be a benefit for you as well. It gives you the opportunity to create some success stories. And we also support this experimentation by providing you a little bit higher amount of funding in order to carry out the experiments a little bit easier. So how we think that this could be implemented, you can do it in your own infrastructures. If you have test beds in your own premises, or if you have a collaboration or an affiliated company where you can deploy your application and collect data and demonstrate its performance, this is also considered as part of validation. So these are two examples. Should you decide to go in this way, what we will need from you at the proposal submission phase is to describe to us the context. So what is the idea, the scenario where you engage in this validation? What are the data sets that you think that you will be using during this experimentation, and some indicators in order to measure the performance of the described solution. So as I said, we link validation with a maximum amount of funding, and this is because we think that there are some additional costs included in this process. So if you opt in to validation, we award you with 100,000 euros per entity. Otherwise, the amount of funding is limited to 75,000 euros per. I must say that we have allocated 1 million euros for this first round of the open calls, which means that we should be able to fund approximately 10 to 15 projects during this first round. About eligibility, we're talking about companies that are established in the EU or other companies that are included in the Horizon 2020 definition of associated countries. I must point out here that we're talking about single entities for this first round of the open calls, and they should be of SME or mid-cap size. And as I tried to say in the beginning, we will include the definition of the SMEs and mid-cap size as it is mentioned by the European Union on our website on the section of frequently asked questions, so that it is very clear of what we mean. Now, we have created a short timeline, which is more or less a snapshot of how we envision these projects to be carried out. So focusing on this year, 2021, the open calls are open and they're going to close by December the 15th. So we will need the time approximately up to the end of January in order to conclude with the evaluation. Following that, all the applicants will be notified about the result, of course. And following this period, we will proceed with the contracting so that the projects can start by the 1st of March. You can see that in the duration of 2022, we have already identified some milestones. We think that there should be some interaction between you and us, at least at these points. Hopefully by the end of 2022, we will have succeeded with the integration of your solutions to the KITT4SME platform. And should you choose to go for validation, then we understand that there should be needed some more time in order to execute these experiments. So this is why you see this bifurcation, let's say this branching into two legs for 2023. So all this information is available on our website in our guide for applicants. But as I said in the beginning, feel free to contact us and communicate with us via email, opencalls@KITT4SME.eu. Or if you have some draft ideas or a short description of what you would like to include in your proposal, you can also submit it to via this link to these abstract submission forms, so that we can take a look and reply to you of whether it is close to what we expect from yours. So please follow us and follow our website. And that's it from my side. So thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot to you, Temis. Thanks a lot to you to give us information about the open calls, which potential participants has the chance to receive an EU grant up to 100,000 euros, and with a simple application of a proposal template, which is just 10 pages. I see that this is a very big chance for the European enterprises to apply to develop an AI kit and to receive the EU funding at the same time. So up to so far, we have completed the 3 sessions, starting from the project itself from the project coordinator, Andrea Bettoni. Then we moved on to the architecture overview of the KITT4SME platform. So what we have created so far and where exactly we want you to deploy and integrate your solution into our KITT4SME platform. And Temis Kolivas has recently described how you can apply for the open calls and how you can receive the maximum funding. By the way, we received some questions and we have tried to answer them shortly, but then we are going to move them on. We are going to put a single emphasis to every single question, and I would like to encourage you on this occasion to put your questions into the chat so we can also move on from the beginning. Now it is time to explain the robotics and automation marketplace, which recently in the previous years we are using the robotics and automation marketplace, and which KITT4SME is going to be a platform inside this robotics and automation marketplace. So I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Ali Mohammed from European Dynamics to deliver his presentation. Ali, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaki, for the introduction. So hello, everyone. So as Zaki explained, my name is Ali Mohammed, and I'm from European Dynamics, the same organization where Temis is from. And I'm going to present the robotics and automation marketplace. The short is RAMP, and you can actually go to this marketplace as ramp.eu. Basically, what is RAMP? It's very much more or less same like many other marketplaces you see on the internet. In principle, for example, the most famous one is probably Amazon, where you can go and buy the things you're looking for. In the same way, the RAMP is a marketplace. The difference is that Amazon and many other marketplaces, you know, they are more or less business to consumer marketplace. There are some out there which are business to business marketplaces, but they are also, each of these business to business marketplaces always very sector specific. So in this way, this RAMP is a business to business marketplace, and it is very much focused on the manufacturing sector, especially for manufacturing SMEs, because we think that they should be able to go out and buy the things online, the solutions, the things there. On an everyday basis, they face the challenges to solve those challenges. And in here, the picture shows that how the manufacturing SMEs are the main buyers here, so they can buy from many different suppliers because there are many different services and things they would like to buy. So the sellers can be technology suppliers. I think almost all of you are going to be in that category. So this technology supplier can be selling some automation and robotic solution to them. There can be competence centers. So basically, RAMP Marketplace is also connected with a very large network of digital innovation hubs across Europe. So the idea is that whatever comes to the marketplace, no matter where it is developed, which part of Europe it is created, it equally becomes available everywhere, every company in Europe, because not every place in Europe, they have the access to the same kind of competencies. They would also sometimes like to buy trainers and skill developers for their staff. Whenever they are using some new technologies, they need to train their staff. Financial, legal, and different kind of consultants, for example, if they're looking for funding and money for deploying the next technology or for experimenting with a new technology. And also product designers. So if they have their products, they would like to know how they can be improved, individualized, how new products can be created from their current portfolio. So these are all possible for them to get these services. A little bit about the background, as you heard already, that this marketplace exists for a long time. And also you heard a little bit about the I4MS program, which is a specific program which has been going on for the last, I think, nearly now, maybe 15 years or a bit less. Over 10 years, definitely. And basic idea of this I4MS program is to transfer modern technologies to the manufacturing SMEs, because the big companies normally have access to the global competencies. They can have a research center located in Japan, USA, or wherever, but the small, medium-sized companies need help here now in Europe, in their region. So this started with the project with L4MS, and we started to create this marketplace, and then we have this project DIH Square. Then we have, you can see that this timeline has been going on. And in each of these cases, what we do is to get some technology suppliers like you and put them on one side of the marketplace, and then we get a manufacturing company as SME on the other side of the marketplace, and we then transfer. The experiment is formulated so that the technology needs to be transferred from the technology supplier to the SME in the online world. And of course, we monitor that, and that helps us to figure out that, okay, what needs to be done next? What functionalities are needed on the marketplace? So in summary, this kind of marketplace for the manufacturing technology does not really exist, and it needs to be understood, and it needs to be developed slowly. So over the time, what we have been doing is to provide. So for example, if you look at any marketplace, let's say like Amazon, when you go to Amazon as consumer, you have a particular interface. You can search things, you can read their reviews, you can see the pictures or maybe sometimes 3D models. You can buy them, track them, and even return them. So you have certain functionalities and interfaces available as a consumer. But if you're a seller on the marketplace, on Amazon, you have a different interface. You have a place where you can upload your products. You can actually set the prices. You can upload the pictures of the product. You can read the reviews and basically deal with what you need to deal with the Amazon and returns and all that. So it's based on your function on the marketplace. You have a different operation, different functionality, and different interface. It's the same thing goes with the RAM marketplace. So if you're a manufacturing company, this is what you get to see on the marketplace. This is what the functionality you get to access. Fundamentally, what we require is to have the RAM IoT platform to be deployed in the factory, and this is extremely essential. You heard about 5-ware. So basically, RAM IoT platform is based on 5-ware, is really 5-ware, but it is integrated with some further security functions, with some data bridges and some standardized data models, so that actually, as soon as this is deployed in the factories and the things are connected, the data becomes available for the SME on the marketplace, and they can start to utilize it. They can start to do the benchmarking. So for example, where they are with the different scenarios, let's say like how much energy and water they are using, or how much they would like to use. They can have different kind of plots. They can have a 3D model. All the solutions they have been buying is accessible to them, and so on. The products, for example. So the fundamental idea here is that we are now digitizing the factory. We are digitizing all the data, the whole production process, the products, and everything what is available. It is digitized. So they immediately starts to have a possibility to get benefit from their data. Then if you are a technology supplier, so basically what the idea is that once the factory production process and the products and these is digitized, is virtualized, now it is actually possible to share them in a virtual space together with the technology supplier or with a product designer or with a competence center. The data can be made available, the 3D models can be made available, and once all of this can be made available to the technology supplier or a system integrator, they can start to develop the solution, validate the solution, show it to the company, and once it is okay, then it is transferred to the manufacturing SME. There is a GitHub repository where we provide some standardized connectors. For example, this SAN is the sensor agent node, RAN is the robot agent node. So if you're looking to collect data from the sensors from the factory floor, these are the modules, the standardized data modules which should be used. If you face problem with these data modules, there is some there is some shortcomings, or there is some missing functionality, or there is some bug. We are happy to improve those. We are happy to fix it, but it is not a good idea to start making your own connectors, because then the standardization is lost, and it means that for every new solution there has to be a new connection has to be made, and new everything has to be done from the bottom up. The one other important aspect of the marketplace is that once you are a technology provider, you provide the technology, but it means that other system integrators in other regions of Europe, you're not limited now to sell only in your own region, because normally you will always require a visit to the factory for the final integration. So it allows you to build actually connections with other technology suppliers in different regions of Europe. So it becomes like they become your partner, local partner and local distributor. And you have the possibility to build a long-term connection with the company, because nowadays when you once supply a solution to the company, the system goes so that every 6 months or so you call to the company, you visit their site and ask them that how is it going and everything is okay. But the big companies actually already monitor all the time what is happening with their equipment, with their solution in the factories. The small, medium-sized technology supplier or the startups don't have that facility. So this platform actually gives you the possibility to continuously monitor the solution, what you have provided to the company, and keep providing upgrades and so on. As I said, that why in not pure 5-year, but RAM IoT platform is because there is also some security implementation in there. We want to make sure that the SME, when their devices are connected to an IoT platform in their facility, they have the full control to decide what is sending data, where the data is coming from, what is the device is connected to. So these are very important aspects I think we all know there are hundreds of thousands of PLCs per day probably in Europe which are attacked by some hacker. So we want to make sure that there is some essential level of security in here. So this is already taken care of. There is also a marketplace provide you the basic business function. So the companies can actually launch tenders. They can approach you, for example, if you have a solution. And we see that this solution can be useful for the company. So it is possible to do the matchmaking. They can launch a tender. You can actually submit a tender. negotiate a tender and make the contract online, so you don't have to go through the legal troubles. There is a standard contract which is always there. You sign it and then you immediately move forward with the technology transfer, with the development what you want to do. So otherwise, every time you're negotiating a contract with the company, normally you need a consultant and a lawyer in the middle always. There is also the protection of the IPR. So once anything you are submitting there, the company cannot do so that they are going to look at your solution if they like it, and then they go to their friend and they say that, hey, can you build this for me because this company is charging a bit too much. So, and the same way also when you are working with the companies, you are coming across their ideas, their production processes, their products. And it should not be okay to go take those ideas and sell it to someone else. So this is when you are signing up to the RAMP marketplace. You are agreeing to a user agreement, and that includes those things. One other important thing, I think, because this is a business-to-business marketplace, so you can only register on the marketplace as a business. You cannot register on the marketplace as an individual. You can register as a freelancer. That's a possibility if you're a consultant or if you're an artist. But if you belongs to a business, then that business must register on the marketplace. And after registering the business, it's possible to include every person from the organization on the marketplace, and you can have the freedom to do. But the registration has to be done by someone who has the authority to sign documents on the behalf of the organization. Yeah, so as I said, that you can actually start to, because when it comes to robotics and many of this integration, there is always going to be the case that in the end you have to visit the factory. So there is not going to be ever a possibility of solution that you just work everything online. So normally it will always require some integration, especially for SMEs, because they don't have any in-house expert who can put a Raspberry Pi or Arduino or some other computer and start connecting with the PLCs. So normally you will always require somebody to do it. And if you have local partnerships, that can be very useful. This I already explained. In the coming days, this is something which is also under development. What we would like to provide is a virtual, is a Node-RED programming environment. So as you know that we are asking you don't have to open your solution, but what we would like is to have the Docker images. So what we are looking to do in the future is to provide a very user-friendly graphical programming environment where different modules can be connected and new solutions can be developed on the basis of components and can be validated and tested and then delivered. This I already explained. Basically, in the RAMP is connected with a network of digital innovation hubs across Europe. Every country we have a network connection of digital innovation hub in every country of Europe at the moment. So the idea is that when they are connected with this, so these competence centers or these digital innovation hub can take your word, can take the technologies available on the marketplace in every corner of Europe. That is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for the RAMP presentation. So we have received a very valuable ones. For you have explained the value proposition for the SMEs and how RAMP is structured and how people can sell their products in the RAMP marketplace by integrating their solutions. So thank you very much. And in that case, we see that we are right on time on our schedule. Let me share my screen to show you the agenda. So we are on time that we can start the Q&A session. We already have some questions in the chat. So I'd like to move on to these questions one by one. So the first question was, so the first question was, yes, are you going to share the slides at the end of the webinar? Yes, we are going to share the slides on the website, which you can find the links on the chat. It's KITT4SME.eu. You can find the slides and the information about this webinar, and you can find more on the Open Calls webpage. So the second question is, can you please let us know the proper definition of a mid-cap company? So I think this question also has been answered by both Temis Kolivas in the presentation. He says that we are going to follow the European Commission rules, and we also have replied it by Andrea Bettoni saying that there is a link that you can provide, that Andrea Bettoni provides. You can click on the link and you can find more information. Andrea, would you like to tell something more?
The short answer is less than 3,000 employees. According to the European Commission, in the link you also find a way for the calculation of what is considered employees, and how to measure that number. But basically, you already have a short answer that I think includes most of the companies in Europe. We are certainly above the 90% of the European companies.
Thank you, Andrea, for the detailed explanations. I think we are going to also update the frequently asked questions on the website accordingly. And there's another question from Thomas Justin asking, can public research organizations and technology centers apply for funding? I think we also have replied the question we are aiming at the SMEs and the mid-caps for this type A open calls to populate the KITT4SME platform. And as of now, public research organizations are not eligible for funding. And another question comes.
It's about the scope.
Yeah, the scope. I think I have passed it. Yes.
Vicky, so maybe here I can answer.
Yeah, please.
So we have three axes in we have three axes in KITT4SME, which are AI for quality, AI for configurability, and AI for human robot collaboration. But let's say that all these three axes are within the broader scope of AI for manufacturing. So when you apply to the open call, you get there is a checkbox where you can select one of these three axes, or you can say other. Obviously, what we are not looking for are things that are applied outside of manufacturing. Like if you have a chatbot to talk with with the clients of an SMEs, that's not related to manufacturing. So we are not looking for that. But if you say we employ artificial intelligence for vision systems that may apply to human robot collaboration, to quality, or even to other aspects of manufacturing in general, that is relevant for us. So definitely this was a yes, but in general, any application based on AI that can be used in manufacturing, much better if it is related to quality, human robot collaboration, or configurability, that's really what we're looking for.
Okay, this is also something that has been widely wondered. Among the questions, we can understand that these are one of the most frequently asked questions that we are receiving. Thank you, Andrea, for the answer. And we have another question: where does the platform run? Which cloud providers? Which data centers? Is there a relation to Gaia X? So I think this might be a question relevant with Andrea Falconi, the platform manager. Andrea, would you like to give an answer?
I was actually busy replying to Patrick in the chat. So I'm just going to delete the message. So yeah, Patrick, thank you for your question. So what does it run? Well, the platform is open source. So, in principle, you could actually run it in your own data center. What we are busy doing is, eventually we're going to have our own data center where we run the platform. So this, we still need to work on this and decide where exactly our instance, is going to run. We have two options. We could roll out the platform to your own service in Finland, which BTT could provide. Or another option would be to actually use Google or Amazon managed services. If you remember what I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, our mesh infrastructure is based on Kubernetes and Istio, and both Google and AWS actually provide the whole stack for you as a managed service. So another option would be to deploy all that in a public cloud. Obviously, there are issues that we have to consider. So these are mainly non-technical issues, but very important issues regarding data privacy and whether our potential customers would actually like to to have the data in a public cloud. So there are many other factors to consider. Regarding the second question, as you asked another question, I don't know if that's answered your question. Does Patrick have a chance to actually reply to? I don't know how it works.
Well, no, we didn't answer it yet.
Okay. Yeah, so he's saying thank you. So the second question, I suppose that answered the first question. The second question is about NGSILD. So Patrick is asking whether NGSILD is also supported. Yes, it is actually. At the moment, we are more focusing on NGSI V2, just for the sake of simplicity, but we have planned a very simple upgrade path to NGSI LD. So in the end, the data models will be NGSI LD compliant. Not right now, obviously. As Andrea mentioned too, this is very much a work in progress. But ultimately, our goal is to have NGSI LD data models.
Thank you, Andrea. By the way, Ali, do you have a word?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that basically when you are using the data or the cloud, this should not be like your concern because you are accessing that resource from the marketplace. Currently, during the project phase, this is going to be located at VTT in Finland at a national research center. But fundamentally, this is an experimental phase to build this interface and how it will be done. Over the time, we would have it. For example, you wouldn't need to know that where is actually I'm using the computational sources. But what it will be ensured that all of it is secure and all the data is always located within European Union.
Thank you, Ali. You are right. And I can see no more questions coming up to chat. I just would like to tell you that you can always reach us from the social media platforms. I'm encouraging you to follow us because we are publishing all the news and all the events and all the information using the social media. And of course, you can find us on our website. You can find more information about the open calls and you can apply on it. Apply to the open calls. The open calls will be closed on 15th December this year, but I urge you to not to wait until the last minute because the systems can crash at the very last minutes and you might not be able to complete your application or maybe some mistakes in your application. So I really would like to encourage you to make your application to the submission system at least a day before. But of course, you are free to ask us any questions using our email channels. We also have an email which you can find on the guideline for applicants. On this occasion, as we are coming up,
I think it is good just to, I think it is good to tell that if they submit the application earlier, it is still possible to continuously update it before the deadline.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it is not that if you submit it earlier, then it's it's good to submit earlier, but you can keep updating it till the deadline.
Yes, thank you for the question. This is something that we were expecting. Well, you can apply only one application, but if you make a second application with the same name, only the last application you will submit is going to be considered by the evaluators. So if you apply if you make two applications with the same name, only the last one we received is going to be considered. So the first one is not going to be considered. This is a method for you to update your applications if you wish, but there is no other method to make changes in your previous applications as of now. So is it an answer to your question, Ali? If I can clear it to if you can understand it, so I think it's generally understood, I can say. Okay, thank you. So I see no recent questions in the chat. So I'd like to give floor for Andrea for the closing.
Thank you, Zeki. So first of all, I'd like to thank all the people who have participated to our webinar. We hope we have given you all the relevant information for applying to the open calls, for knowing about what KITT4SME is trying to reach. I've posted in the chat an email address where you can make all the questions that you feel relevant about the open calls. We have an FAQ section also in the website, so and the guide for applicants. So yeah, obviously today we try to give all the information, but try to go through this document for more information. We expect to see you through your applications until 15th of December, so there's still time for making the applications, and we really hope to see you there. And I would like to thank all the speakers that have participated today. Zeki for being the guest of our webinar, Andrea for all the technical stuff, Temis, who is our open call manager, so he's doing a great work to keep this process together, and Ali, which is basically also, besides being the RAM manager, is the connection to many other initiatives that are running in the I4MS program. So thanks to all of you, and follow us, and please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach us through our channels, and let's try to bring these AI solutions to the SMEs out there who are really the ones who can transform this what is a very interesting technological trend for us into something that can really make the difference for the European manufacturing system. So thank you all for participation, and goodbye. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.